The Labors of Hercules by Michael de Mocker. Have you ever had to do chores that you hated? I did. I had a list of the 12 most dangerous chores that I had to finish to earn back my freedom. Oh, but I am getting ahead of myself. I am Hercules, the greatest Greek hero. Songs, statues, and paintings have been made in my honor. Nice, right? But things didn't start out that way. In fact, my life started pretty badly. You see, my father was the Greek god Zeus, and my mother was a mortal woman named Alcmene. Hera, Zeus's wife, hated me. It wasn't my fault. You can't choose your parents, but Hera set out to make my life miserable. First, she put 2 deadly snakes in my crib. Who put snakes in a baby's crib? Well, luckily I am half god on my father's side, so I strangled the snakes with my bare baby hands. But that didn't save me from Hera's wrath. As I grew, I became stronger and stronger, but Hera tricked me into taking the lives of my own family. In order to receive forgiveness for my crime, which was Hera's fault, I was given 12 impossible chores by my cowardly cousin, King Eurystheus. These chores were called the 12 Labors. A labor is like a chore, only it can kill you. Of course, no one gets eaten by a 9-headed monster while taking out the trash. The Labors of Hercules, the Nemean Lion. My first labor on the worst list of chores ever made was to slay the Nemean lion. No big deal, right? He's just a big cat and I am a powerful hero. Oh, did I mention that this lion had super skin and could not be hurt by weapons? That it is the offspring of 2 hideous monsters? So, to defeat it, I had to fight the giant beast with my bare hands. I strangled the lion after a nasty fight in its cave. I used the lion's own claw to skin its body and make myself a cape from its pelt. The Labors of Hercules, the Hydra. And did I get a break from monsters? No. Next, I had to battle a poisonous creature with 9 heads called the Hydra. Any guess as to who created a poisonous 9-headed monster just to kill me? That's right. It was Hera. Worse yet, if one of the Hydra's heads is cut off, then 2 more grow back in its place. To stop this beast, the trick is to cut off each head, then use a torch to burn where the heads were so nothing could grow back. Gross, right? But it beats getting eaten. I was just about to defeat the Hydra when Hera sent a giant crab to attack me. This was totally unfair, so I stepped on the crab with a mighty crunch. Then I beat the Hydra once and for all. The Labors of Hercules, the Golden Hind. Luckily, the third chore on this list was to catch a very fast deer with golden antlers called a hind. This task was a nice break from all the monster fighting. As easy as it seemed, it took me a year to finally catch the hind. I showed it to Eurystheus, and then I let it go. I hoped my next labor wouldn't be to fight a terrible monster. The Labors of Hercules, the Erymanthian Boar. My next labor was to fight another monster, a giant wild pig called the Erymanthian Boar. This wasn't too hard for me. I just chased the boar into heavy snow where it couldn't move and tied it up. When I brought the bound creature to Eurystheus to prove I'd caught it, he hid in a giant jar out of fear. The Labors of Hercules, cleaning the stables. For this labor, I had to do some cleaning. Not so bad, right? I'll bet when you have to clean your room, it isn't as bad as fighting a 9-headed monster. Although, to be fair, I haven't seen your room. It turns out what I had to clean was a stable filled with 1,000 magic cattle, and the stable had not been cleaned in 30 years. I don't mean to be gross, but do you have any idea how much dung there was? And I had only 1 day to clean it. Well, I had the great idea to use my super strength to divert 2 nearby rivers to, no giggling here, to flush it all away. Stop giggling. This was a gross labor. Fine, giggle all you want. The Labors of Hercules, the Stymphalian birds. Up to this point, most of my labors were either battling monsters or battling cow dung. For the 6th, I got both. My labor was to chase away the Stymphalian birds, man-eaters with, you guessed it, poisonous poop. But using a noise-making rattle, I scared the birds into the air and shot so many of them with a bow and arrow. The rest flew away in fear. The Labors of Hercules, the Cretan Bull. Halfway there, I was starting to feel pretty good about finishing my list and being freed. Next, I sailed to the island of Crete, where there was trouble with the king's pet bull. Only this was no ordinary bull. It was ferocious and mean, and, no joking, it could walk on water. I sneaked up on the bull and wrestled it to the ground. Then I rode on its back all the way from Crete back home again. Can you imagine what the sailors thought when they saw me riding a bull past their ships? The Labors of Hercules, the horses of Diomedes. Do you like horses? I sure do. Unless, of course, you mean the fire-breathing, man-eating mares of Diomedes, the king of a land north of Greece. That's right. Horses that eat people. And my labor was to steal them. This hero business just keeps getting wilder. But I not only managed to steal them, I fed the mares their mean king for a snack before returning home with them. The Labors of Hercules, the Belt of Hippolyta. Have you noticed something about the last few labors? No Hera! Maybe she would finally leave me alone to finish them. Yeah, right. My next task was to get the Belt of Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazons. I used my heroic handsomeness and tales of my adventures to convince the queen to give me her belt. However, before she could, Hera, disguised as an Amazon, tricked the other Amazon warriors into attacking me. I had no choice but to kill Hippolyta and take the belt. There is only Hera to blame. The Labors of Hercules, the Cattle of Geryon. Next, I had to travel to the island of Erythea to steal some cows. I can hear you now. What kind of cows, Hercules? 10-horned, poisonous monster cows that have the teeth of a shark? No, not at all. These were just regular cows. I thought I'd finally caught a break. But no, it turns out they were guarded by a 2-headed monster dog named Orthrus and his giant 3-headed monster owner, Geryon. I bonked the dog with my club and killed Geryon with an arrow dipped in the Hydra's poison, then herded the cows away. The Labors of Hercules, the Golden Apples. Okay, please let me have a labor with no monsters. So, the next labor is to fetch some golden apples in the far-off garden of the Hesperides. The apples allow you to live forever and are tended by 7 happy nymphs. Nymphs with fruit. Sounds totally safe, you say? Were you paying attention to the 10 previous labors? So I arrived after a long journey, and what did I see? There were golden apples in a pretty tree, 7 nymphs dancing, and there was a ferocious talking dragon with 100 heads called Ladon. Ladon, of course, was guarding the apples. I am so tired of monsters. I defeated Ladon using my heroic skills and brought back the golden apples to Eurystheus. The Labors of Hercules, Cerberus. The last labor. And guess what? I didn't have to kill a monster. No, I just had to catch a dog. I love dogs. Only this dog had a snake for a tail and 3 heads. And he belonged to Hades, god of the underworld where the dead reside. The dog was Cerberus, and he was a dog that would rather eat your house than fetch your slippers. Good news, thought Hades, said I could take him. All I had to do was defeat the dog. So Cerberus and I battled each other in a long round of wrestling. Luckily, I won. I returned to King Eurystheus and showed him Cerberus. I had finally finished my labors and was free. I took Cerberus back to his home and started my new life. I joined another hero, Jason, and his band of Argonauts. We set out on a new adventure, and guess what I had to fight? You guessed it, more hideous monsters and angry gods. But that is another story.